Hi, this is Ali Arangu of Gaming Visuals, and today I want to show you how to make a working health bar in Gdevelop 5. So let's get started. Okay, what you're looking at is the front page for Gdevelop 5. The first thing we want to do is select create a new project. We then want to, I'm going to scroll down, we're then going to select empty game. Okay, after selecting empty game, what you want to do is look towards your left. See where we see scenes here. What you want to do is look to this plus to the right, below scenes. You're going to left click there. Now we see new scene. Now you're going to left click right next to this new scene, or right on new scene. And after I did that, now you can see this opened up. What we're going to do is we're going to click on this X to get rid of that panel. If you want to bring that panel back, we can just left click here and this will come right back. Okay, we want to look to our right where we see objects. We want to click the plus button, and then we want to, when we click the plus button, this brought up our add a new project, or add a new object menu. Then we want to select sprite, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go to where we see object name. We're going to left click, and I'm just going to change this name to player. Okay, so what we want to do now is look to our right, this plus button. We're going to left click on this plus button. Now we're going to look to the plus button on our left. We're going to left click there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my desktop where I have the files that I want to bring in. So I'm going to go to tutorial sprites in my case. These sprites that you see here, I'll put a link in the description so you can get to these sprites. You can follow along with this tutorial. I'm going to double click on idle. And these are the idle sprites that I have for the player I want to bring in. So I'm going to hold control, and then while holding control, I'm going to press A. And by holding control and then A, that just is a shortcut that allows me to select all of these sprites. I'm then going to click open. Okay, so now all of these sprites came in. And what you want to do is, see where you see this don't loop? You want to left click this so that now this will loop instead of not looping. And then where you see this clock, this is where our timing is set up for our idle animation. What you want to do is click here. I'm going to change this to 0.08. And then I'm going to left click on the preview button to see how this idle animation looks. As far as the timing, that looks fine to me. So now I'm going to left click on close. And what we have here is what we need. So we're going to left click on apply now. Okay guys, that's it for that tutorial. I hope you learned something. For those of you who liked videos on this channel, reshare this video, give it a thumbs up. If you like the videos on game visuals and you would like to see more, please subscribe, and thank you for watching. Okay, if you're saying why are we bringing in the player, the reason why we brought the player in is because I want to show you how to make a working health bar. And for the health bar to be working, basically what we're going to do is we're going to have the player go against an opponent. The player is going to shoot the opponent. When the player shoots the opponent is going to react by having its health bar lower down, and then once the health bar gets all the way down to where there's no health bar left, then the opponent will disappear. So that's what we're doing. So we have our player. Now we want to add our opponent. So we're going to click this plus button here. We're going to select sprite. We're going to change this new object to opponent. Very similar to before, we're going to go to the right. We're going to click on the plus button. We're going to go to the left. We're going to click on the plus button there. And I'm going to where my opponent sprites are at. So I'm going to left click here. Okay, and these are the sprites that I want. I want all of the sprites in this folder, so I'm going to hold control, and then while holding control, I'm going to press A. By holding control and pressing A, I selected all of the sprites. I'm now going to click open. And now all of the sprites are in here. we want to go to where we see don't loop. We want to left click this so that this animation loops. That's what that loop is referring to. And now I'm going to go to this timing here. I'm going to left click here, or actually left click right on the one. I'm going to change this to 0.05. And then I'm going to click preview. I'm going to scroll down. And I'm just looking to see how the animation timing looks. Looks good to me. So I'm going to left click on close. I'm then going to left click on apply. Okay, so now that we have our player as well as our opponent, I'm going to left click and drag the player onto the screen. I'm going to roll my mouse wheel to zoom back. I'm going to move the player up, and this black outline you see is basically showing the outline of our screen. So I'm going to hold shift, and I'm going right to this diagonal corner edge, and while I'm holding shift, I'm just moving my mouse to shrink our player down. So now I'm going to left click on the opponent. I'm going to left click and drag this onto our screen. And I'm just left clicking and dragging to put our opponent on the screen. I'm going to hold shift, do the same thing. And while I'm holding shift, I'm just scaling this down. Placing that, I'm going to make our player smaller as well. Okay, now what I'm going to do, let me move the player away a little. I'm going to click on the preview so we can see what's going on here. Okay, we can see our player as well as our opponent. I'm going to make the opponent actually bigger. Let's do a preview again. Okay, I like how that looks. Okay, our goal is to have our player fire at our opponent. Gdevelop is an amazing piece of software. It is extremely amazing that this thing is actually free. What we're going to do is we're going to use another amazing thing about Gdevelop, and what that is Gdevelop has the ability to make graphics right inside of it. So that's what we're going to do now. So we're going to click on this plus to the right. We're going to go to sprite, left click there. We're going to left click next to new object. We're going to name this bolt. We're going to click this plus to the right. We're going to click not this plus to the left like we did before when we brought in the idle animations. This time we're going to go to edit with Pisco. Pisco is the built-in editor inside of Gdevelop. So we're going to left click on that. And this is Pisco right here. I'm going to click on the circle tool because our primary color is black. We're going to left click and drag. Well, it's not because it's black, we're left click and drag, but when we left click and drag, we have this black outline because our primary color is black. Where we're going to go now is to this paint bucket tool. The paint bucket tool will allow us to fill this area in very quickly. So we're going to click on our primary color. I'm going to drag over this blue, and then I'm going to left click and drag over this blue here. Now I'm going to left click to fill in this area here. So now we have our bolt. I'm going to left click here and name this to bolt. Now what you name the actual sprite isn't that important, but since it's there, we'll name it bolt. So we're going to then left click, save to Gdevelop. And then for this, since this is just an image, it's not an animation, we don't have to be concerned about the timing. We're just going to left click on apply. Okay, now you know how to do some editing with Pisco. That's good. We're going to use it again. We need to make our health bars. We're going to go to